Hello and welcome to the Miskatonic Playhouse. We are backstage with JR, the author of Branches of Bone. So this is really special. I was very lucky to kind of keep at this. Very excited. I'm not going to say too much because I want JR to, but just before I do, just a reminder, and I'll shout out again at the end. Yeah, JR, like a lot of authors, got in touch with the Playhouse, said, "Here's my scenario," and we got a chance to run it, and it's been brilliant. So if you've got a scenario and you're thinking, well, how do I get in touch with the Playhouse and how do I get them to have a look at it to see if they can run it, please email miskatonicplayhouse@gmail.com. Just drop us a line or get on our Discord, come to our website, www.miskatonicplayhouse.com, and check us out. If you're already a fan of us, you know that we have a coffee account, which is where we're able to support the Playhouse to do more bigger and wonderful things. And that is coffee, which is ko-fi.com/Miskatonic Playhouse. And you can support us there for as little as the tiny pound. Or there's other tiers where you get some nice, cool kind of hidden treats and extra stuff, and you get involved with what we do at the Playhouse. But please check it out. Please have a look. But more importantly than that, we're here with JR. JR, could you introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about yourself, a bit of the things that you've written.
Yeah, sure. As said, I'm JR or Mike, but usually just go on JR for gaming purposes. Yeah, I released a couple things on the Miskatonic repository. I have a blog, mjrrpg.com, where I write a couple reviews every once in a while. You can look at that or don't. That's also fine. But otherwise, yeah,
look at
that's
them. Look at them. Don't look at them. That's the message we're sending home.
Yes, look at it. Do it.
But I've seen them. I've read a few of them, and I can see that. Yeah, the thing is with reviewing as well, and it's not my area of skill. I'm far too on the fence and generically nice to be able to review things and to of any worth anyway. But I think what you're doing, JR, with your reviews that I've noticed with the other successful reviewers is that you're actually getting stuff reviewed. You're getting stuff out there. You know, there is a lot of material out there. So that's brilliant. That's really, really good.
Yeah, just want to try and play as much and get as many as you're saying, it's hard to be mean, so I try and only play things that I know I'll like. So, and then write reviews for it just so I can get people to know what things are, because before you run something, you want to know what you're getting into. So
yeah, absolutely. Kind of why we do what we do at the Playhouse, actually, is run these games and people can watch them. As a keeper, I know for me, if I was going to run something and I was able to watch it first, I would then go to my players with a real sense of authority. Not that I'd copy it, but I've just got that, experiential vision under the belt.
100%.
Right, JR, we've got 6 questions for you here with our backstage with. So I think we should probably fire a few off. What do you reckon?
Yeah, let's go right ahead.
Alrighty. So question number 1. So this is Branches of Bone, everybody. So this is fantastic Cthulhu Dark Ages scenario. I can personally recommend this because I played this. Sorry, rather than played it, I keeped this for wonderful Clem Arnold, who's a great friend of the Playhouse, Lynn Hardy, who's Chaosium Wonder human being, who's also a great friend of the Playhouse in a lot of our Cult and Culpability, along with Scott Dorwood, who again is in that wonderful kind of Cult and Culpability world, but Scott does lots of other podcasts because Scott is just everywhere, and quite rightly, because he's an amazing human being. And also Hedge. How did that happen? I know he was there. No, Hedge, who is just wonderful, and really, actually, really enjoyed playing with him because it was the first time I'd keeped for Hedge. So we've played quite a few times together, and he's keeped for me a couple of times. So yeah, that was really nice. So Branches of Bone. Question number 1, Jay, are you ready?
Yep.
What are you most proud of with your scenario?
I like every time I've run it, and I'm sure I'll see what your players did well. I'm sure they got into it, or I'm hoping they did. I haven't seen it yet. Is whenever watching players, when they first start out, they just get really into the stereotypical Viking shenanigans. Like they just go hard on it. I've played with some people who took out their toy axes and little goofy horned helmets.
Okay, nice. I did some war paint. So if anybody's watching this and they haven't seen the actual run of Branches of Bone, you need to go back. And I say I did. It wasn't me. It was my children that did my war paint for me. So probably not authentic.
Oh no, it'll be fearsome. I'm
yes.
excited for that too. Yeah, no, I love seeing them just get really into it, and then watching that enthusiasm. Maybe not always get them into the best place, but
Can I just ask a quick side question now? I know
yeah,
we've got pre-planned
of course.
questions, but I suppose you've written Branches of Bone,
Hmm.
Cthulhu Dark Ages, and I can see that you've got a real personal spin on it as well that suits your scenarios. And I think it's a really good thing though, JR. I think that's a really nice way of doing it. Did you kind of go, oh, I think there's a bit of a gap in the market here, or did you go, I want to write something about Vikings for Cthulhu?
It was a bit of both. I had a couple that I knew I wanted to do, and I'd just gotten the Dark Ages book and was looking for scenarios I could play, and very few came up that I was, yes,
Great book.
there it is.
Great book. If you haven't got it, get a chance to have a look at it. Go into a shop and have a look at it. It is a really
It's a
lovely
great
book.
book.
Great setting.
It is one of my favorite source books for
Mm.
Call of Cthulhu, which I would pull it out, but all my books are in a box because I just moved, so I
Ah,
can't show anything off.
oh, congratulations.
But yeah, like I was looking on the Miscanonic repository for a scenario, in particular a Viking one, because I wanted to run one, and I didn't find any. So that definitely shot up
Yeah, yeah.
the things I wanted to write right at the top of the list. And yeah, as you said, there was definitely a gap there, and I think that played into a lot of people giving it a shot. So
Nice. Yeah. I think it's great. You've done really good with it. And I like that you've looked for something on the repository,
mhm.
haven't found it. So you've made it. That's a really powerful thing to do. And I suppose that's a good message for people out there writing. If you're not sure, if you want
Yes.
to write something and you're kind of thinking, what can I do? Have a look at what's out there. It might be that you
Mhm.
get inspired by what's out there and go, I want to do something like that. Or you go, nobody's written this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put this out there.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, like it, just to build off that for 1 second, I know almost, I'm sure every writer has a bajillion ideas and can never decide which one to put out first.
yeah, yeah.
Um, if you don't have one you want to write right away, that's definitely a way to choose which one. Is look for the weirdest one, or the one that no one's done before, and go for that. It's an easy
I've
way to choose which to go for.
Do you know, I've decided I would be an incredibly prolific writer. I'd have so much more stuff coming out if I had a team of people where I could just write my first draft and go, yeah, that's wicked. Right. Next person, have a look at that. Next idea. And I think
Yeah.
that's probably fair of all authors is that you get that idea on the page, and that's so exciting.
Mhm.
Although I am slowly learning to appreciate and love the process of editing and editing and editing and
Painful
editing.
one.
Right. Question number 2, JR.
Yep.
Um, so what would be your advice to future keepers of Branches of Bone?
Yeah, it's I'm sure anyone that's watched the actual play here, has read through it, knows that there's, for such a small scenario, there's a lot of moving parts, probably, especially for the keeper behind the scenes. So I included like a little keeper aid chart in there. I tried to give enough ideas for keepers to keep track of what's going on, but even then, I'm sure some things will get lost. So just advice to make a couple notes beforehand of what you really want to.
I
Oh,
can
got your notes over
safely
there somewhere.
I can safely attest to this. It was but I have to say, and if you are watching this and you are a player that might play in this, you probably need to stop listening for a few minutes. Or if you haven't watched the actual play, watch the
Right.
actual play and then come and listen. But do come back and listen. For example, some of the notes I made, and this was more about me. This was more about making sure I hit the right
Mhm.
notes that you'd put in the scenario. And I will fully confess, and JR will back me up here, that in terms of JR giving advice to the players, every time I run a scenario, if I'm lucky enough, I jump online with the actual author, and just talk with them for, could be 15 minutes, could be an hour, and just kind of go, what with this bit? What were you trying to achieve with this bit and this bit here? Fully with the intention and with the blessing from JR to kind of do what I want with it. But I've been in a bit of a privileged position to be able to do that. I think the thing for me, because there are some really lovely moments. There's some visions, and I just almost for my own
Yeah.
brain to keep track of what was going on. Almost like when I was having to act and learn lines and things, I would often have them write them out. And it was just kind of like, what are the key things? Oh, when you get to this
That's
bit, the
perfect.
wall is older than the rest of it. And it was just about just highlighting those moments. And I know that's what we all do
Yeah.
in the run scenarios. We all highlight those moments. Um,
Yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what you need to do.
yeah.
I love
Good
to see it.
advice, JR, that I followed, so I'm proud of myself. Um, okay, question number 3, slight kind of turn here, JR. So this one, is there a Miskatonic repository
Hmm.
scenario that you'd like to run?
Yes, there's a two. There's actually, well, there's a whole bunch I have on the list,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the first two I want to get around to is from the Grindhouse Ultimate Collection by Alex
Gillot.
Gillette.
Alex
Gillette.
Gillot.
I
Yeah.
always pronounce it wrong.
I
I'm
say
sorry,
that with
Alex.
confidence. Alex, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I'm pretty sure it's Alex Gillot.
Yeah, Alex and Ian Christensen. They I've played through most of the ones in the Ultimate Collection so far, and I love them. I love all these tiny
I've
little
got this one.
scenarios.
Is this the
Yes,
one?
that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant book. These guys did
Yeah,
a great job.
the bonus scenario in that one, the Hoodlums, is one I've been wanting to run for a while, but I've always kept it off because it's the most chunky of them.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to get to that one very soon because I really want to do a like young investigators, very it sort
Yeah.
of, and I also want to steal ideas from it. So I want to run that first.
That's not a bad thing though. Stealing the ideas, stealing that, that's
Mhm.
Stephen King is successful for a reason.
Yeah. And after that, I do want to get to John Crowdis just did his next one, I can't pronounce it, the Fitons cabinet, something like that.
The fitness cabinet.
Fitness. Yes, there you go. It's a fun
Yeah.
word. Because I really liked his previous one. So I'm looking forward to doing
Okay.
this one.
Yeah. I'm just going through the first one, the unraveling at the moment. I'm just
Yes. I had a lot of fun with that.
Okay. Well, I might have to speak to you about that another time.
You should. I highly encourage you to run it. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, well, there you go. Well, John, there you go. And John is ace. Just a big shout out to John Crowdis. He is the community Roll20 expert. And there's a few wonderful people out there. John is a fantastic member of the community, and it was great that he joined us in some of the MRCon panels as well. This last convention as well, to talk about his role in that. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, good. Oh, what was the other ones? Oh no, that was it. Was it? It was
That was the two.
Fitness cabinet and the hoodlums. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Okay, question number 4. What would you like to explore in your next scenario?
So I'm working on a project now that's not really my scenario. I'm just doing a translation thing to get some Japanese community titles onto Miskatonic repository. So
nice.
I'm looking forward to getting those on there, but since they're not my work, the ideas are getting a little backed up. So
right.
I'm hoping once that's done by maybe Christmas next year, I want to try and steal an idea from Type 40 from Alan Carey and his folk.
Yeah.
From the Seeds of Terror idea, like where he just released a whole bunch of little scenarios over a year.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I want to take that because I have too many ideas and I just want to blast them out so I don't have to keep dealing with them.
Yeah.
So the main idea is I want to do scenarios that are like supposed to fit into an hour of playtime, very small, single locations, and just get through as many of those as I can in a year.
That'd be really interesting. So like an hour of playtime.
Yeah, sort of like the Chaosium Gateways of Terror. They're not like they have a suggested way of doing it in an hour where it's like every 10 minutes there's a beat.
Yeah.
So I want to try and do that where these are supposed to be really small. You can just blast through them in a tiny little bit of playtime. Because I often like in my weekly game with my main gaming table, we're pretty short on time usually.
Yeah.
So having things that can just be slotted in and played right off the page in a very short time period, I like.
Yeah.
So I want to try and do that.
Oh, nice. That sounds good. And Alan Carey, great friend of the Playhouse. Absolute love Alan. Very much. Love his Manchester accent whenever I speak to him. So Alan, howdy. Good to see you again. But the Seeds of Terror, I think they were so successful, and you're right. There was so many. There was lots of brilliant ideas, but done in this condensed manner.
Yes.
That really supported the keeper.
Give a shout out to Phil Anderson and Nick Holland because they also wrote them. Don't want to, don't want to leave them out. Sorry.
No, absolutely good call. Really good. What I look forward to seeing what that is, JR, because I think there's a lot of people probably that even if like you're playing with your regular table, a couple of people can't make it. We're not going to carry on with the main thing we're doing. What we're going to do? Let's do one of these.
Yeah,
So this would be a good,
that's the
yeah.
plan.
It's like the back pocket collection, isn't it? Keep it in your back pocket.
The back pocket collection. I might have to steal that.
You're
I've been
welcome.
thinking of a title for the whole thing. I
There
like
you go.
that.
That's the Newman original. You can have it, JR. Um, okay, question number 5. And this kind of, I guess, yeah, we hinted at this already, but where do you get your inspiration from?
Yeah. So obviously, like I'm sure everyone that writes for Miskatonic Repository likes their horror movies and books and whatnot. But at least for me so far, the most has just been locations, just places. Um, like the last 2 scenarios I did, the only 2 I did. What am I saying? The only 2 scenarios I wrote. One is a church, and that's just because I was in a church a while. I was like, this would be a really fun place to do like a horror escape thing. And the second scenario, I'm going to name drop it now. A chill in Abashiri. Go buy it wherever books are sold, which is only Drive Through RPG. That one is a couple of years ago, 10 years ago. That's a lot longer than a couple. There is I went to Abashiri in northern Japan, and it's just such a great area. And the prison's just so atmospheric. So I was like, you have to put this in something.
Yeah.
So that idea finally came back and made that. So just
So
locations.
how long were you in Japan? Because I'm guessing with your translation
Hmm.
skills, you probably speak a little bit of Japanese as well, if not fluently, if not
Yeah,
mega fluently.
I wouldn't call it fluently. I call it survivably. I was there for 8 years.
Wow.
I still like a lot of my day job is Japanese related, so I can keep the language stuff going.
Nice.
But yeah, I was there for a good while, so I want to keep using that connection to try and connect the Japanese community because it's huge.
Yeah, and it's such a rich culture and such a rich mythos just in its own, you know, within its own country. That's absolutely. Okay, but just going back to your inspiration, it's from places that you have been to. You've got a personal connection to either having been and visited or been there and kind of gone, okay, in the moment going, this is this could be a really cool scenario.
Yes. Yeah, and even just like anywhere pretty much like when I was saying I want to do these tiny little scenarios, I have about half a dozen of them already sort of just penned out, and they're all just like random locations I've been in. Like the first one's just a cafe because I was sitting in a cafe a couple months ago. Like, this is a good cafe. There's only one door in and out. I like it. So just those sort of things, just everyday regular locations or more interesting places. But places, that's first and foremost.
You know, that it strikes a true chord. I think that's a really really good thing. Just I find myself doing the same. I know that when I've spoken to lots of other authors in the backstage chats, that's often been the case. Is they get their inspiration from their own personal life experiences, or and by proxy places they've been. You mentioned the prison in Japan. That was my first scenario. It was exactly the same for me. Is that I live near Dartmoor in England. I'd been up on the moors, you know, we'd been and done the prison tour. I'd spoken to people there on the tour, and I was like, this is such an amazing place to do like this scenario. So I think that is, and I think if anybody's out there kind of again umming and ahhing, have a little think back, have a little reflect on places you've been, interesting, unique places to put investigators. I think that's a nice thing, because I think every player, when they come to the table, giving them a kind of a cool, unique either location or reason for being somewhere, because it could be as mundane as a cafe, but the reason for being there, that's the cool thing, isn't it? That's the thing that you kind of grip and go, ooh, I like it.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice, cool. Thank you, JR. Okay, so we've got one last question, and then I might have a little question of my own at the end that I just casually throw in, if that's all right. So it's going to be, what are your bank details? Just throwing that in there. So no, question number 6 is because you've got a regular game, you've written some some best-selling books you've written, and you've clearly got lots of stuff coming out in the future. What is your advice for the Miskatonic repository community? So as a whole, it's not necessarily about one thing, just in general, what's your advice?
Yeah, I don't know if this will apply to everyone, only to people like me that whenever I finish a scenario, I'm like, I'll take a couple months off. I'd say don't do that. It doesn't work for me. Whenever I take time off, I'm like, I'll write down all the ideas I have and start a new one. And then I have all these ideas written down and can't decide which one to do. I end up getting stuck in a rut that way.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so the most generic and boring advice for writers, just write, just keep going. At least do
yeah.
something every day, even if it's just a couple sentences. Because I definitely get in the stop for a bit and I find it hard to get going again. So just I gotta keep pushing.
Yeah, I think really good advice, and I think it's fair that that I think a lot of writers in this community probably write because it's a good release. It's creativity. I know that if I'm
Mhm.
not doing something creative in whatever format, it really affects my mood. And I know that 100% know that about myself because I remember going through a period of my life where wasn't being creative, and I just was a grumpy old. I know people can't believe that I'm just the nicest person in the world, but I genuinely just I've totally recognized that when I'm not being creative, I get in a bit of a funk.
Mhm.
I think the
Yeah,
danger is
100%.
yeah. The danger I think for a lot of writers is like you're doing. Yeah, you stockpile those ideas, and yeah, I think at any time every writer's probably got 4 or 5 bloody things queued up. It's
Mhm.
kind of it's balancing, isn't it? That I've got to finish this project, but I want to kind of make some notes on this project. I've got to play test this project. I've got to edit this project. I've got to spin this plate, that plate. Oh, apparently there's a family and a job and a yeah,
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 there's also all that real life stuff.
yeah,
Oops.
yeah.
Uh,
Um, yeah. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Um, okay. So this is my extra question that I'm just throwing in the mix here, Jr.
okay.
Before we say our goodbyes and thank everybody for tuning
Mhm.
in. Um, I've noticed that you're both of you, so Branches of Bone and I want to say Abshiri.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I
Habashiri.
say
Pretty
it
good.
right?
Yep. Yeah, you're pretty
Yeah,
good. Pretty
it's
good.
close.
Perfect.
Okay, I definitely didn't have it written down. I I feel like you've found very, as we talked about this before, the unique places.
Mhm.
Is that something that is that gonna continue to be a trend for you? Are you gonna look at like the sci-fi stuff as and when it comes out, or Gaslight, or are you gonna keep going super unique?
Yeah, like the before I decided to do this little tiny individual little mini scenarios, what I really wanted to do was every scenario to do a different time zone and different country, basically.
Yeah.
Or not exactly country, but just different location for all of them. Um, like I wanted to do one modern day set in my hometown here, so in Canada on a lake. So just after that, I wanted to do. I have absolutely no idea how this is going to work, but just because I'm listening to a podcast that's about it, is in like the Venezuelan highlands for down darker trails setting.
Oh wow.
Sounds super fun. So I just yeah, if I can, I would love to keep jumping between time periods
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
very different locations. Just yeah. So then when they're all lying next to each other, they look so different. I think that's kind of a fun way to build a series out of
Yeah.
how disconnected they are.
But I think that's really nice as well, because I guess is your skills as a writer, as when we're all researchers as well, aren't we? Yeah, your skills as a researcher, that's you're really kind of pushing yourself doing that, which is brilliant, which is really cool. Yeah. Oh, nice, amazing. Um,
Hopefully that works.
it does. I think it is going to work. JR, can I just get you one more time just to shout out what you've written and
Mhm.
that we can find it on Drive Through RPG?
Yeah. So there's Branches of Bone, of course, is on Drive Through RPG. There's the book. There's also a Chillin' Abashiri. It's a 1920s Japan scenario. It's also on print on demand, but again, my books are all in a box, and I don't know which box. Um, so that's available. I did another sort of rule supplement thing, which I forget the name of, but it's for more like critical wounds for Call of Cthulhu. So if you're someone who really likes crunchy details, do that. If you don't like
Nice.
crunchy details, do not use it because it'll make things more difficult. Um, and I have a little blog on mjrrpg.com or on all the social stuff. There's an audio version on the podcast things if you want to listen to it instead. And those are mostly just very short reviews of mostly Call of Cthulhu stuff.
Where can we find that, JR?
It's also called MJR RPG. If you just Google it, it'll usually pop up somewhere.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for giving up your time, JR, and coming to talk to us. And thank you for letting us run and getting in touch with us to run Branches of Bone, because we've had an absolutely bloody blast with it.
Thank you for running it, Newman, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
I was going to say, just wait until you see it, and then once you forgive certain accents and pronunciations and things, then we'll see if you thank us. And thank you for tuning in and checking out this interview with JR and myself. Again, I'll remind you, you can find us at www.miskatonicplayhouse.com. If you would like to get your scenario to us and you'd like it to be to run on the Playhouse, you need to email us at miskatonicplayhouse@gmail.com, and then we'll have a look at it and we work out when and where we can kind of put it into the schedule. And lastly, as I've said, if you are a fan of the Playhouse, we would love your support. You can support us at Ko-fi. That's ko-fi.com/Miskatonic Playhouse. And you can sponsor us. You can support us for as little as £1, but you can go all the way up to like a £15 VIP. You get to see all the backstage gubbins, talk to the editors, see what we're like when we're not actually doing this stuff. And according to some of our friends of the Playhouse, who are our VIP subscribers, you also get to dictate a few terms. So recently we got some new cool stuff coming out, actually, which is on the terms of the friends of the Playhouse. So please stay tuned. And on that note, we'll say thank you very much. Good afternoon, good morning, and good night. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and support us on Ko-fi. That's ko-fi.com/Miskatonic Playhouse, where you can access exclusive shows and content for as little as £1.